caught my wife with two men, destroyed everyone, and got revenge. Hello, everyone. I'm 33. Before I dive into my story, let me ask you a question. What would you do if you caught your wife, whom you completely trusted, with two men in your marital bed? I met my wife, Tracy, who's 29, at the movies. I went to a film premiere with friends, and she was there with her group of girlfriends. That day, a spark flew between us, and soon we started dating. We were together for a year before we got married. What began as a simple friendship turned into the saddest and most heartbreaking love story of my life. At the start of our marriage, it felt like marrying Tracy was a blessing. We were happy together, and I did everything I could as a man and a husband to support her dreams and inspire her to become better. For the first 2 years, our marriage was strong. Tracy was kind, caring, and smart. I'd say she was everything I ever dreamed of in a woman. Great at cooking, with an amazing personality, refined character, and most importantly, honest. I valued her honesty above all else. Tracy worked at a diner, and I was a graphic designer at a company that handled printing banners, billboards, and designing various materials. We both earned decent money, but I covered most of the household expenses because Tracy spent her money on her dream. Before we got married, Tracy, told me she'd always dreamed of becoming an actress since childhood, but she never had the chance to pursue it because her parents didn't support her aspirations. They insisted she choose a different major in college, as they didn't see acting as a respectable profession. When Tracy shared her dream with me and asked if I'd be okay with her pursuing acting, I supported her. I hadn't achieved my own dreams and knew what it was like to passionately want something, but not have the opportunity to pursue it. So I encouraged Tracy to join drama clubs, take on volunteer roles, and participate in projects that could bring her closer to her dream. We also planned that she'd attend a theater academy in the future once we saved enough money. I supported Tracy because she was genuinely talented. Despite her occasional dramatic and moody nature, she was an excellent actress. Before we met, she'd taken a couple of acting courses and probably watched 1,000 YouTube videos on acting techniques. All of this showed how serious she was, and I didn't want to be the one to crush her dream. We postponed having children because of her academy plans, thinking we'd start a family after she graduated. I believed that by then she'd already land good roles in plays or even films. I was the one who pushed her the most to participate in productions and projects so she could showcase her talent and get bigger roles. I did everything for her success. I wanted only the best for her. When Tracy asked if I was okay with her pursuing an acting career, we were still in our first year of marriage, and everything between us was idyllic. We never fought or argued seriously. She was like a sweet peach, respectful and loving toward me. During that first year, Tracy constantly applied for volunteer roles online, but had no success. At one point, she got tired of rejections and decided to focus on her new job, but I kept encouraging her not to give up. Fortunately, a few months after our first anniversary, she got a response to one of her applications. She was invited to audition for a theater production looking for new actors and actresses. Tracy was over the moon when she found out, and I was thrilled for her. A nice bonus was that the audition was in the same city we lived in, and she had plenty of time to prepare. On the audition day, Tracy passed with flying colors and was cast in a role. She was beaming with joy when she told me. Another plus was that the actors were paid for their participation, and rehearsals were mostly on weekends. I didn't expect Tracy to change so drastically after rehearsals started. For the first few weeks, everything stayed the same. We communicated well and lived our usual life. The only difference was that we spent less time together on weekends, since rehearsals took up all her time. She'd get up in the morning, clean, cook, go to rehearsal, and come back late at night. Though I didn't like the new routine, I didn't say anything. I didn't want to ruin her first big break. Plus, she earned more on weekends than she did in an entire week at her regular job. Over time, a distance grew between us. To keep myself busy on weekends, I started playing video games, hanging out with friends, or inviting them over. I'd known these friends since high school and college, so I trusted them. When I told them about Tracy's acting and how much time it took, one of my friends, Eric, suggested I keep a closer eye on her. There were rumors that some actresses slept with directors to get roles. I brushed it off and assured them Tracy wasn't like that. She wouldn't sleep with anyone for a role. She was too talented. Foolish me. After that, they didn't bring her up again, but reiterated their advice to watch her more closely as new actors and actresses like Tracy were at high risk of infidelity. I didn't take their words seriously because I was 100% sure Tracy would never do anything to hurt me or ruin our happy marriage. But their words stuck in my head, and I started subtly asking Tracy questions. When she noticed I was acting differently, she complained about my questions and how I was treating her. I had to apologize and tell her what my friend said. When I explained everything, she just laughed and said she could never cheat on me because she loved me too much. She said, "You're the best husband in the world, and only a foolish, ungrateful woman would cheat on you." Those words gave me inner peace. I was certain Tracy wouldn't cheat. Too bad I didn't know then she was just doing what she did best, acting. She'd already started cheating before that conversation. The following week, Tracy changed beyond recognition. It's hard to describe. Our conversations became strained, and the excitement she used to come home with vanished. Before, she was like a kid, bursting in and telling me everything that happened at rehearsals. Though I'd never been there, I knew the names, appearances, and personalities of everyone she rehearsed with because Tracy shared everything with me. We were so close, and I always looked forward to her weekend stories. But all that stopped. Beyond the distance, Tracy became very defensive. She got offended by almost everything I said, even old jokes that used to make her laugh. Now she took them as attacks. Then she revamped her wardrobe, buying dresses she only wore to rehearsals. Pretty revealing ones. I expressed my displeasure a few times, but she didn't listen, saying it was fashionable and I didn't understand. I thought she was just trying to keep up with other actresses who dressed more boldly. I knew she loved competing with her outfits, so cheating was the last thing on my mind. Suspicions crept in when she started changing her hairstyle every week and constantly talked on the phone with some guy she introduced as her scene partner. Once, she did something that really pissed me off. When I voiced my frustration, she yelled at me and stormed out. It was the first time she'd done that, and I knew I had to do something about it. Later that evening, I talked to my friends when they came over, and they said Tracy was definitely cheating. Despite all the signs and changes, I couldn't believe it. I'd done so much for her. I argued that maybe she was just going through a tough time and taking it out on me from exhaustion. But my friends insisted I was blinded by love and that if I wanted the truth, I should hire a private investigator. I didn't like the idea of someone spying on Tracy, but her drastic behavior change made me agree. The next week, I found a detective online and hired him to follow her for 7 days. On the third day, Tracy didn't come home after rehearsal. The next day, when she showed up, she said she'd been at a club for an actress's birthday and stayed at a nearby hotel with them because it was safer than driving home late. The weirdest part? She hadn't told me about this party. I called her until 3 a.m. When she finally answered, she claimed she didn't hear the phone because of loud music and lied, saying she'd told me about the party, but I wasn't listening. I suspected she was lying, but knew I'd soon find out the truth since the detective was following her all week. I didn't hear from the detective until he finally contacted me while I was out of town visiting my parents. I was already on my way back when he said he had something to show me. Instead of going home, I went straight to him. Meanwhile, Tracy didn't know I was coming back that day. We'd spoken the previous Friday, and I told her I'd be back Monday morning because I wanted to stay longer with my parents. But I returned on Saturday. When I met the detective, he showed me materials that shattered me and left me speechless. He had photos and videos of Tracy with some blonde guy who turned out to be her lover. There were shots of them kissing in Tracy's car, shopping, dining, and a video from the night she was supposedly at the actress's birthday party and didn't hear my calls. The video showed she was with this guy all night. They went to a club, then around 10 p.m., they left for his place where she spent the night. This meant one thing. She saw my calls but deliberately ignored them. I was in shock that Tracy had cheated on me. She seemed like someone I could build a future with, but she destroyed everything. After showing me the photos and videos, the detective added that he'd followed her that evening too, and that she was currently at our house with her lover. He'd just stepped out to call me. I was so furious I wanted to smash everything around me. I was too angry to drive, so the detective drove me home. When we pulled up, I saw a blue Toyota Venza in the driveway and immediately recognized it. The same car from the photos and videos. I knew Tracy was inside with him. The detective offered to come with me, and I don't remember if I agreed. The next thing I recall, I was in the house, opening the bedroom door and seeing Tracy with 2 men in the middle of it all. I lost it and didn't know who to go after first. Tracy was wearing sheer silk lingerie, her hands cuffed to the bed. When they saw me, they tried to get up, but the cuffs held her back. I lunged at the blonde guy, while the other grabbed his clothes and bolted like a rat. Luckily, the detective came in with me and stopped me from doing something I'd regret. The whole time, Tracy was still cuffed to the bed, begging me. She claimed I'd misunderstood, that they were just rehearsing a scene from the play. Her pathetic excuse enraged me even more, and I wanted to strangle her right there, but I just left the room and told her to be gone by the time I got back. The detective told me he'd recorded everything and gave me the video. I didn't know what to do with it, but took it anyway. That night, I stayed at a friend's place. I was so ashamed. He'd been right about Tracy and her new acting career. But the most painful part was that she had a threesome in our bedroom. In our bed. When I returned home the next morning, Tracy was still there. She didn't go to rehearsal, probably realizing what she'd done. When I saw her, rage overwhelmed me, and I threw her out, tossing her stuff onto the lawn. She begged me, saying I was making a mistake and needed to let her explain. For nearly an hour, she stood outside screaming my name, pleading to be let back in. When her fake remorse didn't work, she went on the attack, insulting me, calling me names, and finally left. This all happened last week, and I'm only now able to talk about it because I haven't been able to process it since that day. I still don't understand how this was happening right under my nose. I wasn't some controlling husband who monitored her every move. We split bills together. She did most of the housework, and I always kept my emotions in check and didn't make scenes. I say this because I've read stories where men ignore red flags. Looking back, I realize I should have started digging when our communication broke down and she suddenly changed her wardrobe. But is that what marriage is about? Suspecting your partner the moment they buy new clothes or stop talking because they're tired from work? I don't think so. What annoys me most is that she hasn't stopped calling me since. I'm thinking about revenge and want to show that video to her director. Update 1. Hello everyone, thanks for your comments. I'm glad you don't think my actions were excessive. Someone suggested finding out about the second guy from the video. I did, and guess what? He's currently dating Tracy's director, who's gay. I can only imagine how furious he'll be when he finds out Tracy seduced his boyfriend. Speaking of Tracy, she showed up at my place 3 days ago, looking awful. Swollen from crying, eyes red, completely miserable. Unfortunately for her, my friends were over at the time. They didn't say anything to her, but their looks and behavior pissed her off. She was furious that I was sitting with friends, ignoring her, and screamed, "Is this how it is, Mike? You're letting your friends treat your wife like this over some petty fight between us?" The whole time, Tracy was begging for forgiveness on the porch. I didn't go out, just sat inside and listened. But when she shamelessly said that, I stormed out, ready to let her have it. My friend stopped me just in time. I was so angry I was ready to get arrested for assault, and I wanted it to be worth it. Before leaving, Tracy made a scene, talking about all our promises and how I swore we'd grow old together. I was boiling with rage but couldn't do anything, even if I wanted to. After waiting and getting no response from me, she asked about the theater academy I'd promised to pay for. I wanted to yell, "Go ask your lover for support now." But I just wanted her gone, so I stayed silent. In the end, she left with her head down, having achieved nothing. I've already contacted a divorce lawyer. As soon as the papers are ready, he'll send them to her to sign. As for revenge, I'll do what you suggested. I understand that showing the video to the director might not destroy her career, but it'll definitely ruin everything she's worked for these past months. The fact that Tracy slept with her director's boyfriend only fueled my desire for revenge. Thanks, everyone. Another update is coming soon. Update 2. Hello, everyone. I'm writing this update with such excitement because things turned out much worse for Tracy than I expected after the last update. It took me 2 weeks to track down her director online, and I did it. He's just starting his career in the film industry, but already shows great promise. We arranged a meeting, and he actually showed up. He was intrigued when I said I wanted to show him something about his partner and one of the actresses. That day, I didn't waste time. We exchanged a few polite words, and I showed him the video of his boyfriend, the blonde guy, and Tracy. He was so disappointed and heartbroken that he broke down crying. No joke. He admitted he'd suspected his boyfriend was messing around with someone from the cast, but had no proof. He also said the guy had cheated on him once before, but he forgave him because he swore it was a drunken mistake. Honestly, I didn't care much about that. I was more concerned about what the director would do with Tracy and her lover. When I asked how he'd handle them, he said he hadn't decided yet. I told him it'd be weak to just let them off, especially after Tracy betrayed him like that. Long story short, he fired both Tracy and her blonde boyfriend. I don't know if he broke up with the guy, but Tracy is definitely left with nothing. When she got fired, I felt true satisfaction watching her hard work crumble to dust. I wanted her to feel what it's like to pour 100% into something and then lose it all because of someone else. By the time she was fired, the divorce papers were ready and my lawyer sent them to her. The day she received them, Tracy called me, begging me not to destroy everything we'd built together. I told her she destroyed it the moment she thought about cheating. I said I was the one who showed the video to the director, ruining months of her work. I knew she'd flip out, and she did. She accused me of jealousy and said I just hated that she could pursue her dream while I couldn't. I just laughed because I realized she was trying to twist it in her favor and hung up. 2 weeks ago, she signed the papers, and I'm writing this update as a divorced man. Yes, it hurts, but I'm glad she's out of my life. Thanks for all the comments and support.